Hi everyone, my name is Claire Armstrong. I chose to do the me quilt for the writing autobiography. So on this slide is all the different writing prompts, and it's a bunch of pictures of my writing when I was younger. Some of them are school prompted, so I did them in classes with my teachers, and some of them are also from home that I did on my free time. The first prompt is, I'm a writer who likes to free write and journal about whatever thoughts come to mind. I'm a writer who likes to show empathy with my words and watch how my message affects my audience. I'm a writer who likes to put my feelings into words to help me recognize the depth of my emotions. Writing can be utilized as an alternative for therapy because it allows me to speak my mind and thoughts by putting them in writing. So even when I was younger, you can see to the right, this was actually an activity that I did at home. I loved to draw pictures and whatever thoughts were in my head, and I would like to write them down as well. Now, I wasn't the strongest writer with spelling and grammar, which you can see, but I just love to write on my free time and write about what I would do during the day, about school and different things like that. And still to this day, I find myself journaling a lot. I have a journal and I always keep it with me wherever I go, just because even if it's just a random thought, could be so irrelevant, I just love to document it and write it down. But I also love writing my feelings down so that I can really visualize them and, like I mentioned, recognize the depth of them. I'm a writer who doesn't like writing about something that I do not believe in, understand, or enjoy. I remember despising every social studies writing prompt solely because I struggled within this subject area and lacked interest in it. This made my writing weak, short, and extremely vague. When I do not create a sufficient piece of writing, I feel like I have not accomplished anything. When a teacher instructed a writing assignment with no student choice, I felt like I was being forced to write about something I did not enjoy, understand, or believe in, like I mentioned before. I remember my senior year of high school, I was taking a U.S. government class, and my teacher actually required us to write about why we supported one of the candidates for presidency. And I felt like I was extremely vulnerable and frustrated about this assignment, because I wouldn't really consider myself a huge political person, and I feel like you don't really have to explain yourself of why you side with one side or the other, and I feel like it's also not a sign, but it's confidential. It should be confidential, and my teacher was requiring us to participate in this assignment, which I didn't think was fair. And actually to the right is also an assignment about president and what I would do if I was the president, what laws I would incorporate in my ruling. And I did this when I was younger, and I think this is a great assignment. So to the right it says, if I were a president, I would make laws for others. I would make houses for dogs. I would give money to others and help them. I would give people food so they could get healthy. I would help plant trees to make the world a better place and build more homes. I would collect clothes and make more jobs. I would make laws to be kind, stop smoking, and find homes for pets. And these would be the laws for the country. So I think this was a great assignment that my teacher had us do. It really made me think of the laws that I viewed as important, and I put it into writing so other people could see where I was coming from. And then, as a student, my writing lacked correct grammar and spelling, but frequently succeeded in meaning. As a student, my writing did not always look the prettiest, but I did put a lot of thoughts and feelings into each writing piece. As a student, my writing always had truth in it. In 4th grade, my teacher had my class write an introduction letter to our 5th grade teacher. I introduced myself by writing about my family, interests, and fears. One of my fears that I wrote about to my 5th grade teacher was actually the fear of her being a teacher that yelled. I expressed how nervous I was to meet her, and as an adult, I'm still in contact with my 5th grade teacher, and she always tells me how impactful and touching my letter actually was for her. When I reflect on my writing as a student, I'm impressed with the honesty and meaning I always contributed to it. So exactly what I mentioned with this assignment from 4th grade to my 5th grade teacher, I actually have a picture of it in this picture. It says, "Dear 5th grade teacher, my name is Claire Marie Armstrong. I have red hair and freckles," and I start to explain my appearance, my family, and then when you get further down, I said, "I'm nervous to meet you," and I explained, which is not all the way in this picture, I explained that I was nervous because I was scared that she was a teacher that yelled, because I had bad experiences with teachers that yelled. So even as a student and as a young kid, I love to put my emotions into words and into writing, and I wasn't afraid to share the truth within my writing with other people. Personally, my writing is an escape from many struggles, conflicts, and hardships. With struggles, I find myself writing my feelings down to help me understand them better, writing my thoughts down to establish a concrete knowledge of what my brain is processing and if it is realistic, as well as writing a response to someone that prioritizes mannerisms, truth, and clarification. So I think one of the most important things for me personally is if I'm involved in a conflict with a friend, I love to be mature about it and include mannerisms, like I mentioned, truth and clarification in my response or text back to them. And along with that, I like to write my thoughts down to make sure that what I'm processing in my brain is realistic, or if I am kind of creating those thoughts or feelings up in my head. As I got older and my writing progressed, my mom and sister will always ask me to help them with their writing, whether it's a professional email, a text, or social media post. So yeah, this happens very frequently. My sister will write something, whether it's going to a friend or to work, and she'll always have me proofread it, looking for grammar, spelling checks, and just seeing if it's mature and appropriate, as well as my mom will do the same thing. Personally, my writing involves words that are powerful in a positive way, which can help make someone's day. And I'm saying that with truth. I never want to write something that can hurt someone or stick with them in a negative way. I always want to be writing something in an influential and positive way. And to the right is just a picture of things that I used to write when I was younger. It was in the same packet as one of the images I included earlier. So I drew a picture, and it's just explaining what I was thinking in the moment and what I was doing, and it keeps turning off. And yeah, and still to this day, and personally, my writing has always meant so much to me in a way where I can escape from my struggles and hardships, and I can put all my feelings and thoughts and ideas and experiences down into writing, as seen in the picture to the right. As a result, as a writing teacher, I want to provide my students with choice within their writing. As a writing teacher, I want to include free writing as much as I can in my class. I think it's a great way to help my students strengthen their creativity, imagination, and interest within writing. I want to inspire my students to write when they are outside of school and to view it as a pleasure instead of a chore. I think this is so important because, especially in 4th grade during my student teaching experience, a bunch of the 4th graders I worked with viewed writing as a chore and did not see it as a pleasure at all. Many of them very, very much refused or frowned upon picking up a pencil to write down words. No matter if it was free writing or if it was an assignment, most of them saw it as a chore. So I want to be an influential teacher that wants to encourage my students to write on their free time and see it more as a pleasure instead of a chore. I want to teach my students sufficient strategies and techniques to help guide them to become a better writer. As a kid and a struggling writer, grammatically and spelling-wise, I struggled with this as a kid, and not a lot of my teachers were able to cater to my learning style and to help me with this. As a writing teacher, I want to differentiate my writing instruction that tailors to each student's learning needs to prevent what happened to me, to my future students. I want to be an influential teacher that encourages them more when they make mistakes instead of feeding them with discouragement and the feeling of failure. I remember once I wrote down something in one of my classes for an assignment, and my teacher was struggling to read it, and she started laughing, and that has stuck with me ever since, because I was scared to write for a short amount of time after that, because I didn't want to be embarrassed again, and I didn't want my teacher to see me as a failure. And I would never want to give my student that feeling ever. As a writer, I'd like to know more about correct grammar and ways to improve my sense of spelling based on what I hear. My biggest struggle still to this day is spelling, and also correct grammar, although not as much as spelling. I am just a person who's so quick to spelling a word the way exactly it sounds, whereas different techniques and strategies I was never taught to identify certain words in the English language that are spelled a different way, or include a silent letter. I want to increase and improve my ability in knowing that and spelling in general. Sometimes when someone pronounces a word, I always resort to spelling it exactly the way it sounds, even though in some cases that's not always accurate. Due to this struggle, I would like to know more about specific strategies that could cater to this struggle of mine. In order to help my students progress in this area, I want to keep learning about different techniques I can learn, practice, and then teach. So, to the right, I just have spelling in big writing, grammar, writing, and then I have like another picture of my writing, just to show that I've always really struggled with writing. Favorite, the word you can see in the picture, it's how it sounds in my head, and as a kid, that's the same thing I would do, and that's how I wrote it. Now I know how to spell the word favorite and other words similar to that, but just to show more clearly how much I struggled with, and still do, writing words and differentiating words that include silent letters. As a writer, I hope someday I can learn more techniques, strategies, and skills that will help me improve my writing as well as my ability to teach it. I hope I can appreciate the meaning and thought I put into my writing pieces over the years and reflect on my growth as a writer from the beginning years to now. I'm a writer who hopes I can someday encourage others to utilize writing as a form of therapy and a positive outlet. And that's the last prompt. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.